Hello and welcome to EverLogic training. My name is Jennifer Fuel. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me today, where we will learn how to manage your customers with CRM, Customer Relationship Management. On today's agenda, we are going to learn how to add a new customer. We will do so by a quick entry and also a detailed entry. We'll learn how to add a co-customer, which is known as an association in EverLogic. I'll show you how to log a call, place a note, send emails and general notes with the customer. Also how to run a credit report through CoreLogic. You'll actually be able to start a deal, a repair order, or an invoice directly from your customer window. Also, we'll talk about traffic lead and lead source, prospecting, and I'll show you a cool function known as wish list and stock interest. You can also add insurance, and there'll be information that you'll find in history for your customer. And then in the customer folder, we will look at the customer follow-up versus a task. I'll show you how to reassign a customer, merge a customer, and again look at some customer history, and then do a marketing campaign with EverLogic if necessary. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started in EverLogic. Now there are 5 ways to add a new customer, and so let's talk about those 5 different ways. First, with the favicon in the upper left hand corner, that's the EverLogic emblem, you can actually start a new customer here. You can also start a new customer from a new quote, a new invoice, a new repair order, or from the Sales Operation tab under New Customer. So this is where we're going to focus today, on the Sales Operation tab. In the Customer section, we're going to add a new customer. All right, so the first section here talks about quick entry. And if I just put in the customer's name and their phone number, that's a quick entry. I can save that as a quick entry. I see the first and last name along with their phone number. Or I can add additional details with a detailed entry by clicking on the icon that has the pencil. We have our customer detail window. Now please notice at the top there are 3 different labels. I have the legal name, let's say Robert Brown, and then we have a personal, which we can put in their nickname if they have, and you may go by just Rob. Or if you're working with a company, you can also enter the company name here. Okay. All right, so for Mr. Brown, I have home phone number, work phone number, mobile, and fax. I also can add in their address. Now, this is a cool function with the address. If you type in the zip code and then hit tab, it'll automatically display the city and state for you. So again, time is money, money is time. Anytime you can save time, you're going to be saving money. So use these little quick tip functions that'll help you along the way in saving time and ultimately saving money. All right, let's take a look here. There is a drop-down menu, and in some states you may be required to also have a shipping address. Now, even if they don't have a separate shipping address, you can use the home address by clicking on this button. Again, that's going to save you some time by displaying the address that you have in the system. All right, let's look below where you can add some personal information. Here you can add in their address, or excuse me, their email address. Okay. Now the other information here, and by the way, you'll notice there are no bolded areas here. So you can add in as much or as little information as you would like. We at EverLogic do not use the license and or birth date sections. So if you want, you can add in their license and their birth date. If they do have a tax ID number, you may be working with a sales tax exempt individual. You would want to check mark this button where they are showing sales tax exempt. So you might be doing a business to business transaction with a nonprofit agency, so they would be sales tax exempt. So here you would want to maybe enter their tax ID if so. Since we are talking about sales tax exempt, let me just point out this field here, the sales tax override. This is not used by dealerships in the US. Instead, our Canadian dealerships, they do have the option to do sales tax override. So the Canadian dealerships use this field. All right, and if you do have on accounts that you open for your customers, you can indicate what their limit is here. I'm gonna say I'm giving my customer a $10,000 credit limit, and as they use that credit limit, the balance will update here. Also, there will be other screens I'll show you where you can see your credit limit for your customer. All right, and then just to point out at the very bottom, I'm working with a retail customer, or if you are working with a wholesale customer, you would want to check here, and we've already mentioned the sales tax exempt. There is a parts pricing level. So what this means is for parts, and you choose A means that they will be paying retail price. A is selected to pay retail price. Okay? B is selected for a specified markup. So you may have, let's say, 45% on markup from your cost that you're allowing for sales with your wholesale customers. And again, B is a specific markup rate. And then C and D have been left open, and those are for your dealership to choose what you wish on C and D. Okay. We also have a part price category. Again, this is part price category, where you can use this for your customers. Please notice these options have either a C or an L. Let's talk for a moment about the difference here. If you choose an option, let's say 10C. C stands for cost. That is the dealership cost. And 10 means that this customer would only pay 10% over cost for their parts. Okay, so if you're choosing something with C here in this part price category, C is for cost. So 40C means this customer would only pay 40% of cost on the parts. We also have options that have an L. So for L is list or retail cost. So if you choose 75L, that means this customer would only be paying 75% of retail or list. L stands for list, C stands for cost. If you wish, you can also choose to put a specific customer discount. Okay, let's say you give your customer a 10% discount for this individual. Okay, 10% discount. All right, we also have an area here if you want to specify the labor rate for a specific customer. You can also indicate a specific labor rate for them. The next 3 fields are automatically filled in by EverLogic based on your year-to-date purchases, last year's purchases, and last purchase date for this customer. And then the last option at the bottom, if your dealership would like to choose a type of customer to track, you can also set those up in EverLogic under your system setup. And of course, as always, if you need help, we're always available here. Our support staff is here to support you Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you'd like one-on-one training, I'm available to schedule something to help you there. And then lastly, we've added in employment information. Now, we did this recently based upon some input from our customers and their request. So if there's anything that you would like to see upgraded in EverLogic, you can make those requests, and we consider those based upon best practices. I'm sorry, we do not always cater for an individual need, but if we do have something that's specified and can be beneficial for our customers using EverLogic, then you can make those suggestions for us to consider. All right, here the employment information was added to allow you to share this information directly with the financial institution for financing deals. So when you complete here, you would add in their social security number, their occupation, along with the employer name and address here, the employee gross salary, and there is a status that you can choose from, all the way from employed, homemaker, retired, military, student, and unemployed. And then after you're complete with all the details you'd like to share or enter, go ahead and click OK, and that will update your customer form. And you now see not only their name, their phone number, but you can also see their email address. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and save my option, and then we'll continue to speak about the customer form. All right, let's talk about this flag. And as you notice, and with most items in EverLogic, once you hover over an item, it'll tell you more about that specific option. So as with a green flag, there are no alerts, and it says click to add one. So here is where you'll see that credit limit, and as they start making payments, you'll then see their balance showing here. And then at the bottom, you can specify an alert. Now, unfortunately, you are not able to change the color or the wording of these alerts, but you can use them based upon your dealership needs. We have blue for information, yellow for advisory, orange for a warning, and red as an alert. So let's say I'm going to put an advisory, and let's just pretend that this customer, Rob, is 2 months behind on his payment. And then we close that, and you now see that he has a yellow flag, and as I hover over it, it indicates this is an advisory, and then you click on it. So let's say, for instance, Rob comes in for a repair order or maybe to purchase a part. You can now remind Mr. Brown, I did notice that you're 2 months behind on your payment. Would you like to go ahead and make a payment while you're here today? Okay, so that's very helpful for dealerships that allow payments on an on-account customer. The icon right below the alert flag is to manage customer associations. So this blue and green icon represents people, and there is a drop-down menu to add an association. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and add in. We can add from our existing customers, which will display here, those individuals with the same last name. Well, the co-customer does not have to have the same last name. So for instance, if the last name of that person is Armstrong, and then you can search, it may be one of these individuals, again, that exists in our current database. If not, if they are a new person, then we would click on New and then add in their name. And let's go ahead and say that Mr. Brown's wife is Susan. And then we can just do a quick entry and save it that way. Or if you would like to do more information, you can click on the pencil icon where we can now add more details. Okay, again at the top you've got legal, personal, company, and all of the rest of the fields are the same. I'm not going to go over those again, but I do want to point out the green square with the white arrow. So if Susan's phone number is the same as Robert, her husband, you can click on that green box with the white arrow and it'll automatically fill in the phone number that you put for Robert. And she might have a different cell phone number, so you can just manually type in whatever is necessary. Again, nothing is bolded on this form, so you can add in as much or as little details as you would like. Same thing with the home address. You have this green box with the white arrow. When you click on it, it's automatically going to bring over the same address that you put in for Robert, the initial customer. And then if I were to go over to the shipping address, we did use that same address for Robert, so it's automatically showing for Susan. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and jump and click OK here. We now see Susan, her home, and her mobile number. I'm going to click Save and close this window. And now I'm back on Robert, my initial customer that I entered. Now let's take just another look at that icon. Now I can click on the down drop menu. I can view and edit Susan. Yes, you want to save it and make any changes as necessary. You can also click there and remove her if you ever needed to. I'm going to go ahead and click Save. And at this time, please notice in the upper right hand corner, there's some information that's automatically populated for us. We have the customer's time zone. So we are showing that the customer is in Central Time Zone, today's date and time. The last activity when I made an entry and saved it, the date and time. And then the first scene, when I come out of this particular customer window, the first scene will automatically update with today's date. That is the day that you entered the customer. So if I go back into this same customer tomorrow, the first scene date will always be the date when you initially entered the customer into EverLogic. So I would see today's date if I were to go in tomorrow to look at this customer record. All right, below here we see a row of icons that I'd like to go through with you. And the first three are communication with your customer. So the first one is a telephone, where you can click on the down drop menu and document a phone call. So here I made a phone call to Mr. Brown. Let's say that I left a message on a voicemail. I found the unit you wanted, and I could put more details if I would like there. And then I click on Save Call Log. Now I can go back and I can view, and what that does is it takes you to the History tab. Now please notice there are multiple buttons here, but I came here from the Calls button or icon, so the Calls button is automatically blue. That's what's showing here. I made a phone call, today's date and time, the comment that I made, and who actually made that phone call would show here. Okay, we're going to see the history as we continue to the next icon where you can make a note. So you click on that down drop menu, go into a new note. All right, the types of notes I can place are listed here. Part quote, part sales, phone call, these different options if you would like. I'll just stick with a quote for now. I might even put good news. Okay, and then save that. We're going to continue with the envelope, which allows me to send an email. Okay, and here is my new email window. Okay, it automatically fills in the email address for this customer. You can indicate a subject. Might want to make sure we do a spell check there. All right, and then I can also attach photos if I'd like. I'll just use this one for now. And if you chose the wrong one, you could then remove it. You'll notice the signature that I have set up in EverLogic for my emails has automatically displayed, and then I can put in a personalized message. Something like that, and then of course you would hit send. Now the customer is going to receive the email. You also get a copy of that email, and then it is documented in EverLogic that you sent the email. And here, if you click on view emails, you'll notice on the history tab now the email button is blue. Here is the email that was sent, date and time, the message itself or comment, and then who sent that message. All right. Continuing with our icons here, we have a credit check through CoreLogic. You can run a credit check, and this is what the window looks like. You're able to choose which credit bureau you would like to run the credit check through: Equifax, Experian, or TransUnion, possibly even all three. And then this is for Robert Brown, and then request the report. Of course, this is an erroneous individual. I don't have any social or anything keyed in, so everything is going to be displayed here with a message once you run your credit report. I'm going to close this now, and then back to the drop-down menu next to the CoreLogic icon. You also see credit check history. Will show you when and how many times you've ran a credit report, and then it would indicate the last time you did a credit check. All right, the next icon is our quote. And so you can actually start a quote directly from the customer window by clicking here where it looks like two pieces of paper and maybe with a dollar bill in the back. You know, that's your deals. So you can start that quote by clicking the icon, and your quote desking form will come up. And I show you one thing here. It shows Robert Brown as my customer and Susan Armstrong as my co-customer. And I can say, let's say when I run the credit report and I realize that Susan has a better credit rating than Robert, you can then click on that blue arrow and it'll place her as your customer and move Robert down to the co-customer. That's just a little trick and a cool function that you can work with in EverLogic. All right, back to my customer form. I'm going to go ahead and click on Save and talk about the next icon, which allows me to start a new repair order. So I can start a repair order, review repair order history, or from the cash register, I can also start a parts invoice or view part invoice history for this specific customer. Let's talk briefly about the next three icons that have the green arrow going up. Up, up, up and away. UP stands for Undocumented Prospect. Okay? Undocumented Prospect. All right, with the Undocumented Prospect icons, you have a lot up, which is represented with the two hands shaking. So if someone comes onto your lot, and that's a lot up. If they call you, that's a phone up, and that can be documented with the phone icon here. And then if they are an undocumented prospect that was received via your website, you also have that icon here. And then lastly, these two icons, if you are a dealership that likes to do post-sales follow-up, you can click here on the post-sales follow-up. And then if you are a dealership that also does post-service follow-ups, you can also click here on the post-service icon. Now let's continue on to that history tab that we were looking at a moment ago, where we were able to see the one that is highlighted in blue is the ones that's showing in the display panel. And please notice I can have more than one selected here. By clicking on them, they turn blue. Or from there, you can also click on the double arrow to the far right. As you hover over it, you see that is the select all. And it shows here, I did an email, a vehicle quote, and a phone call. And all of those are showing here on the history tab. Okay. Let's go backwards and work our way into the insurance tab. If you want to add this information in now, that's totally up to you. There is a place on the deal itself where you'll be able to add this information, but if you add it here, then it will automatically display on the other screens for you. So that is an option on your insurance tab. And then there is a cool function that's in EverLogic for your customer. It's known as the wish list. So these are items that you can indicate for this particular customer. For instance, if they are looking for new or used vehicles, or maybe they don't have a preference. Maybe they prefer gas or diesel, or they have no preference on the fuel type. Also, you can indicate if they like slides, not, or no preference. Okay. And then in the middle section here on the vehicle they're looking for itself. Okay, so let's say they're looking to purchase the vehicle at my location in Birmingham. And the price here, this is the price range of the vehicle. Okay, so let's say that they were looking to spend anywhere from $25,000, and I'm going to say up to $400,000. And I know that's a very big range, but I'm going to show you how a little trick here in a moment. So I'm going to leave that large range there for now. You could also indicate, like if they're looking for a used unit, maybe they want a used unit between 2015 and 2020. So here you have the option to indicate the year that you're looking for. The length, maybe they have a specific area where they have to park their vehicle, so you might have specific lengths to look for. The vehicle type, all of those different types are listed for you here, and you can make those selections based upon your inventory that you normally hold. Maybe they want a specific make or model or even a model number. I think I'm going to go with Keystone for now as the make. I'll just leave it that. And then this is the cool function. You can click on the button at the bottom that says Locate Inventory, and then in the upper right area of this section, it indicates right now I have 5 that matches their selections on their wish list. So you can then print. We'll see what this looks like. You can share this with your customer, and then of course, go out on the lot to share more details and do a walkthrough with them based upon whichever one they would like to see. Good information. All right, before I go any further, I'm going to share with you just an example of that email that I sent. I just received a notification that I sent an email to this customer, and you may remember this is the message I typed in. There's the image that I attached to my email along with my signature. Okay, that's just an example of that email. Since I just received it, I wanted to share with you. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on Save, and then continue on to the Prospecting tab. On Prospecting, we have set in statuses. There are 5 statuses that we have placed for you, and then you can also add in additional statuses by going into your system setup. If you need any help, just give us a call. We'll be glad to help you set those up. So let's look at the statuses that I have to choose from. Okay, New. New is automatically in the system for you to choose from. Maybe. Maybe is one that I actually added in just as an example. Hot. Hot is already in the system for you to use. Not. That's one I just added so that you could see how you can add your own statuses. Considering is another that I also added. Lost is one that is in the system as a default for you to use. There's also inactive that's available. Warm is included also, and also cold is included. Now these do come with specific follow-up time frames. So again, you can handle and manage all of that through your System Setup tab up at the top of EverLogic. Okay, right below your status, you then have your assigned salesperson. And I'm going to show you something. So I'm going to close this right quick, and I'm going to go back onto that Sales Operation tab and search for a customer. All right, now there's different parameters here at the top that you can choose from to search for your customer. And so for instance, the last name for my customer was Brown, and then I can search. Now please notice this little button here is selected as active customers. So if they are not keyed as an active customer, then they're not going to show in this search. All right, here is Robert Brown. Okay, we're back on his screen. And that's your search function in EverLogic for customers. All right, we'll continue on. Here is the salesperson. You actually have up to 2 spots to put in salespersons for this particular customer. And then here is a note. Please note, this is not a private note. So if it's not a private note, it may print on a receipt for the customer to see. Be sure to be careful any notes that you're putting on EverLogic. If it doesn't say private, it's not a private note, and it may print out on a receipt and the customer could see it. Speaking of seeing, you now see that our first seen date has been added, and I'm going to go ahead and click Save. And we have gone through everything except the sections listed here. I'll take just another moment to go through with you. Let's start here, the 4 options on the right side. And if they did a test drive, you can click this radio button. If you quoted, you can click this radio button. Maybe even sold them a unit, you would click here. And if they don't want to be on the mailing list, be sure to remove that check mark. Otherwise, it's marked as being on the mailing list, so in case you do send out marketing material. Right above this, may I also point out, this is your active button. So as I just mentioned, that when we did our search, it showed those customers that are active, and this is the radio button that you can select when you have an active customer. And then the last section here, lead source. What source? Where did we get this lead, right? So for instance, I have added in a couple of our local radio stations. So if you run ads on your radio station, you could have those in. So for instance, I have 96.9 The Eagle. And then you can or also I have radio station 99.1. Maybe they were a previous customer. Maybe they seen an ad that you ran in a newspaper or magazine. Maybe they did a drive-by. Maybe they saw a brochure. These are different things that you can add in for your lead sources through the System Setup tab. All right, you can also choose traffic type. So maybe we did an RV show and we set up an appointment with them. So I can choose apartment show. Maybe they were on our internet site, a phone up, lot up. Remember we talked about the ups earlier, the undocumented prospects with the 3 icons that show that green arrow. All right, payment from. This is their monthly payment. Unlike on the wish list, this is the price of the vehicle that they're willing to pay. On the prospecting tab, this is their payment. So let's say that they can make a payment of anywhere between $500 to $1,200 a month. Maybe they're comparing it to something else. You can add that in here, along with their expected purchase date. I have here within 30 days, 30 to 60 days, or 3, 6, and 12 months. I also have now and unknown. All right, let's talk about deposit and down payment. Very key here that you know the difference between a deposit and a down payment. A down payment is only used for negotiation purposes, okay? So let's say that they say and they tell us, oh, I've got $5,000, okay? I'll give you a down payment of $5,000. I'm going to use that for negotiation purposes only. Well, let's say when they actually come in to make the purchase, maybe they came up with $10,000 or $8,000. Maybe it was less than $5,000, whatever the case may be. The deposit is actually how much money they brought you. They put it in your hand so you can take it to the bank. That's the difference between a down payment, which is for negotiation purposes only, and a deposit, which is that money that's in hand, you're taking it to the bank. Who are they purchasing the vehicle for? So here you have, are they using it for business use? Maybe they're purchasing it for a daughter, a son, friends, themselves, or a spouse. We'll say that they're purchasing it for their daughter. And what are they going to use it for? Well, maybe they're using it for retirement, camping, business, travel. You make your selection there. And is this a first-time buyer? Now, this is however your dealership wants to use the first-time buyer option. So are they a first-time buyer with your dealership, or are they a first-time buyer with an RV in general? Again, EverLogic doesn't use this particular section for anything specific, so you can use that based upon your dealership needs. All right, I'm going to go ahead and save, and we have now entered Robert Brown and his association, his wife Susan, and we've completed all of our tabs in the customer information form. Okay, I'm going to close this, and again, if I go to that search option and put in my parameters up here that are available and then search, there's Robert Brown. That brings up that customer information form again for you. And I did want to point out here also is another way that you can actually add in a new customer. Okay, another option here is to list customers. List customers will show my recent customers, my hot customers, the ones that have a new status, and newly entered customers. So these are the options under the list customer function. You also have the customer follow-up, and the customer follow-up here will display my prospects, my service, and sold customers. Anytime there's a plus symbol, you want to click to see additional detail. So I have one hot prospect that I need to follow up on, Miss Pat Johnson. You can double click it, and there's Miss Pat Johnson, and I can go in and follow up on any details that I've entered before and make updates as necessary. Also, if you do post-service follow-ups, you have those listed here of your recent service customers. And then you also have your sold customers in case you would like to do post-sales follow-up. Now let me mention this. A new feature that we have here at EverLogic, we have integrated with Kinect, K-E-N-E-C-T. And if you are enrolled with Kinect, you can then do post-sale follow-ups. So for instance, let's say I sold to Tom Sawyer, and I can go in and do a post-sale message here through Kinect. This allows you to do a text message through Kinect. Now, I will point out, if you're not enrolled with Kinect, you can still send text messages if you are enrolled with text messages through EverLogic here. Okay, you also have that function to email we talked about. Documents, let's just mention this for a moment. Like if you were to scan their driver's license or their social security card, anything that you scan on a specific customer, you can add and view those documents here. And then let's talk briefly about stock interest. Stock interest allows you to add in comments, and this is just an example I'm sharing with you. For instance, here's the comments that were added. But if you wanted to add in a comment, let's say, all right, and then of course you could add in a stock number. And search for that stock. And let's say this is the one he likes here, this Keystone Carbon. Double click it. All right, and so here I just added in that note. So I'm going to go ahead and save it. And you see how it's added in the note here. So if I were to call or email, when I speak with Tom again, I can say, hey Tom, I know you like the off-road capability of that Keystone. We have a brand new one in stock. Come on by and do a test drive with me. Okay, And that's just how you can use the stock interest option on your customer form. Okay. My units is used for trade-in. So if they're interested in a trade-in, then you can use my units for trade-ins. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and close these windows and mention ConnectNOW. ConnectNOW. If you have your units listed with on your internet site and you are set up through EverLogic so that we are listing those units there for you. If your customer goes in on your website here, you will see a message where they are trying to reach out to you, and then you can follow up with these. It's just another way to get prospect leads through EverLogic. Also, with Kinect, K-E-N-E-C-T, if you are enrolled with Kinect and you have set it up through EverLogic, Kinect also gives you that button where they click on it and you're able to communicate with your customer online. Those interactions would show up here also for you to follow up with. Okay, that was the Connect Now button. Let's talk about Reassign Customers. All right, you may or may not ever have to use this function, but if you need to reassign, let's say Chandler is no longer working with the company, okay? And Chandler has already started working with these customers on some quotes, and you want to reassign these customers to another salesperson. You would then click on the Reassign button, choose the salesperson that you would like to have these assigned to, and then click Reassign. So I'm going to choose Derek Crawford. These customers are no longer showing under Chandler, but if I go to Derek Crawford and search, there are the customers that I reassigned to him. That's how you reassign customers. And by the way, you cannot reassign individual customers. It's a full list or nothing at all. So if you only need to reassign one customer, then you would want to do that on an individual basis by going back into the customer list or customer form and making change here of that customer. So when I go back into this customer, pay attention. I want to show you what's now known as a poach lock. As a manager, you can go in and make changes to the salesperson. This poach lock has been added on so salespeople cannot change salespeople. So they cannot go in and steal a deal from another salesperson. So in order to change that salesperson, you can click on the poach lock, and yes, I want to override it. It now indicates the person of the name making the override along with the date and time, and you click OK to override that salesperson. And then click Save, of course, and we're moving on along. Okay. Just a couple of more functions to talk about. We do have a merge customer. Okay, so up at the top, again, you have these different parameters that you can choose from. And I'm just going to go ahead and choose Brown for the example I was using today. And let's say that Robert Brown and Bill Brown are the same people. Okay. So with Robert has the email, I see his prospect information, his address and phone numbers are listed. This is the one I would want to keep. So I would check mark under the Keep This Customer column. And then Bill, the one that doesn't have all the details, would be the one I would click under the Merge This Customer column. So what's going to happen when I click on the Merge button it will merge Bill, the merge this, with the keep this customer, Robert. So I'm going to go ahead and click merge now. The merge was complete. Okay. You notice Bill has gone away and everything is listed just under Robert. Okay, that was the customer merge function. There is also a marketing function. So if your dealership would like to do a marketing campaign, this is one way you could do so through EverLogic. So I don't know, let's say that I want to do a winterize campaign, and you will separate with a comma space. So if you'll notice here, separate with comma. Okay, it gives you an example. I'm also going to indicate hike. So I'm doing winterize on hikes, 20% discount. And then I can search. So everybody that has the hike with me in my dealership has come up and listed here. Now pay attention and notice some of them are on the mailing list and some of them are not on the mailing list. So let's talk about the difference between true and false. True means it was selected. So the items here with the check mark, that is a true. If these that do not have the check mark, those are false. So let's choose the ones with true, showing now only those customers with the check mark. Those are the ones on my mailing list. Also, let's say I'm doing an email campaign this time, and so if you'll notice in the email column, some of my customers have emails, but some of them don't. You would want to make your selection here and filter it down to non-blanks. Non-blanks will get rid of all the ones that do not have an email address. So I'm now ready to export. I can now save this for my customer marketing list, and I might even just put here that it's for a winterize. Title it however you would like. I'm going to save that right quick, and now I can go over to my desktop and pull up that spreadsheet. Again, remembering this is the one another item that prevents EverLogic from being 100% cloud-based, because we do allow you to save and export these items into Excel, and then of course you can navigate as you wish here in your Excel spreadsheet and save this for future use if needed, or delete it after you're done. Okay, we're going to go back over to EverLogic. Okay, that was your marketing option here. I'm going to close that window and talk briefly about customer history. Again, I can add in some different parameters listed here at the top. This time I'm going to go with the last name Ashley and search. All right, and it's going to bring up anyone with that last name Ashley. So I wanted to share this with you. Again, if you wanted to narrow it down, you could add in their first name here, or you can use that funnel option. So I'm going to go with Timothy Ashley. And these are all the things that I've done with Timothy Ashley here. I've done part sales with him. I've done a vehicle quote and also a status change on Timothy Ashley. This is showing all your history. We'll do one more. All right, I've got Gail Clark, I've got Jim Clark, Joni, John. Let's see if I can narrow it down by putting Gail here now. Okay, we're in there. And here we go. I have done part sales with her, service sales. I've done quotes and internet. She's an internet up, and also I did a status change on this customer. This is all for Gail Clark. All right, and then lastly, we have our task list for today. And you notice that I have a 3 on task on my agenda. I need to follow up on this one. It's red hot. Okay, I need to pick up that RV down at RV City and Speedway Daytona. And then we've got some moderate priorities here. I need to call Keller to get a new catalog. And then I also need to prep for my RV show. All right, let's talk about adding a new task. For your reminders, you click on the word new, and these are the items here that you can add in. So what is the task? I don't know. Whatever it is that you need to do. It can be work related, it could be a private reminder task for you to do. So here you've got your task item. You can set a reminder. If you want to set a reminder, click the radio box, and then you would choose here the date and time that you would like to have the reminder come up in EverLogic. If you have a due date, you would want to check mark this radio box and choose the date and time for your due date. And then once it's completed, you could check mark here along with indicating what type of priority. So was it complete, critical, low, moderate, or red hot? And then status. Is it complete? You need immediate follow-up, in progress, or pending. You then click OK or save. And then if I refresh, okay, we can close and then go back. That task should now show up, and there it is. All right, we have come to the end of this training session. We went through the customer information form where I showed you how to place a quick entry, also a detailed entry for a new customer. We added a co-customer, which is known as an association in EverLogic. I showed you how to log a call, place a note, send an email, and make general notes. I also talked to you about setting up and requesting a credit bureau check through the CoreLogic icon. Now, I will mention you do have to be affiliated with Credco in order to pull those credit bureaus in EverLogic through CoreLogic. Okay, we showed you how you can add a deal, start a repair order, and an invoice in the customer form. Also, you can add in your traffic lead, your lead source, and some cool functions on your prospecting tab, along with the wish list and the stock interest. You can also add in insurance if you'd like, and then see history on the customer form, but you can also see history in the folder itself. So along with the customer history, you can see customer follow-up and task list. You can reassign customers or merge customers, and also create a marketing list. Thank you so much for joining me today on behalf of myself and everyone here at EverLogic. We greatly appreciate you taking the time away from your busy schedule. And we would like to ask that you stay tuned to learn more about vehicle inventory and managing that through EverLogic.